This is just crazy. It doesn't get any better than this. I hit 100,000 miles, carry drive until the nearest safest exit, and where do I end up? An abandoned gas station. Can you believe it? Look at this. This place is empty. The gas pumps have plastic bags on them. There's nobody here. There's no way to wash your windshield. Look. Really? Come on. Talk about the future is happening. Okay, so 100,000 mile report on Jade. Jade's looking good still. I'm super happy with this car. Let's talk about the things that are going on with this car after 100,000 miles. And I'm gonna compare it to a typical gas car. So I'm gonna talk about the paint, the mechanics, the wheels, the interior, basically everything. So we'll start from the ground up with the tires. So I actually have a brand new set of tires on here. The first set of tires, I think we replaced them around 45,000 miles. I did have one mechanical problem in the last, what's that, 3.5 years that I'll talk about that may have impacted tire wear on the second set of tires. But actually the second set of tires, well, the first set went 45,000 miles, the second set went 55,000 miles. And to be honest with you, they almost were not needing replacement, but I had a lot of driving ahead of me this season, so I wanted to get new tires. So the tires good. The wheels, they're good. Something that's very common on Teslas is, or probably any performance car that has these types of wheels, is you'll notice they call this curb rash. This is user error for going too close to the curb, or in some cases trying to park too far away from the car next to you because you don't want to hit them and you end up hitting the curb instead. So you'll notice a lot of Teslas have curb rash on the wheels. So my wheels, all 4 of them, have that, unfortunately. You can call me a dumbass, but I've driven 100,000 miles and a lot of city driving in there, so it happens. But I have a paint that I touch up. So the wheels are good other than the curb rash. Brakes. Perfect. Have not done anything to the brakes since I purchased the car. The brakes work perfectly. Why is this? Mostly because electric cars, you use regenerative brakes, so you're using the motor to slow down the car. Haven't had to do anything on the wheels other than replace the tires, balancing, and alignment. Let's talk about mechanics. So how are the belts? Let's take a look. Oh, that's right. There are no belts. No belts at all. Oh, wait. There are. There's 4 belts. 4 belts. This seat belt, that seat belt. Just kidding. No belts. No timing chains. You don't have to worry about that. How many tune-ups have I done? 0. No tune-ups with an electric car. Oil changes. 0. There's no oil in this car. Emissions check, 0. Well, the state of Florida doesn't do an emissions check. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but that's ridiculous. Come on, Florida politicians, can we protect the planet, please? This is an important part of our state's tourism industry. What else? Air filters, none. The car doesn't have it. It does have a cabin air filter, which I just had changed recently because the air inside the cabin was getting a little stale, so I replaced that. Let me think, what else? Carburetor, none, doesn't have it. Starter, none, doesn't have it. What do you do when you get in your electric car and it won't start? It'll always start because it doesn't have a starter. If it doesn't have a starter, it can't fail. Water pump, probably has a water pump because there's a refrigerant that keeps the batteries cool. But compared to a traditional car, you're talking a minute amount of heat generated compared to an engine. And also things like the air conditioning compressor and those types of devices on a regular car, it's powered mechanically based on the motion of the motor. So you have bearings in there under a lot of pressure, under tight pull from the belts. But because there's no belts, you just have, for your water pump, it's an electric motor. For your air conditioning compressor, it's an electric motor too, which are just inherently more reliable. So far, I've replaced the tires, done alignment. The one mechanical thing that I've had happen, and I have a friend of mine that she has a Tesla Model 3, she actually got it the same day that I got mine, and she had the same problem with hers, much lower mileage, much sooner, but one of the upper control arms went bad on the front end. It didn't create me any problems, but it was kind of funny. This was maybe 6 months ago when I was working on the project out in Texas. The car started squeaking and creaking like an old pickup truck, which it's kind of cool sound on a Tesla. I took it into the Tesla service center in Texas, and they said, you know, if you can live with it, it's not going to hurt anything, and wait till you get to a dealership that has parts, because they didn't have the part, and I wasn't going to pay for a hotel for a week waiting for the parts. So that's pretty much the mechanical, all good. Shocks, good. That's it. Let's talk paint. So if you look here, by the way, I challenge you to see a gas-powered car that's got such a clean under the hood after 100,000 miles. But you know, there's no engine in here, so that helps. There's no belts and pulleys and fans spraying all the dirt from the road. It's not open. It's got the front right there where I keep my charging. The biggest problem you have is occasional leaf. They're easy to fix. See, look, these leaves get everywhere. Okay. Let's talk about body stuff. Well, the paint first of all. This is not a very good demonstration. But the paint is great. Anything that's wrong with the body and the paint on this car is from renters that rented my car on Turo and did some damage. One renter backed the car into a gate post with the passenger door open. That was $6,000 of damage. Another renter somehow or another dented this and took it upon themselves to fix it themselves. And I don't know, it's hard to see in the video, but they kind of butchered it. I left the car at long-term parking at New Orleans Airport, and somebody scratched it up here, and that happened somewhere else. But basically the body's been perfect. It does have one thing I guess you could criticize. The panel gaps in the earlier Teslas, of which this is one, there was some criticism about the quality of the panel gaps, but they're new vehicles, they've fixed that problem. But you will notice if I open this door, you hear that noise. It's really not an issue, and it actually sounds worse, I think, on the video, but it probably just needs a little grease, but I guess you could criticize that. And then if I show you the handle here, you see how that pops out? Right there, if you get a good angle. You see how it kind of snaps closed really fast? And then on these ones in the back, which get less use, you see it soft closes. So the handles are a little warm. A regular car, well, you could say a regular car after 100,000 miles has certain issues with it, with the paint, but it's that we typically associate 100,000 miles with a 10-year-old car, not a 3.5-year-old car, because not everybody drives like a crazy man like me. But some of the things that go bad on a regular car is the paint on the roof will go bad. Well, that's not an issue because there is no paint on the roof. You have the glass roof. Another thing that will go bad is the glass on the B pillar behind the driver's side door. That also is not an issue because it's glass as well. The headliner will go bad on a typical car. There is no headliner. No problem. What else? The radio works perfect. The air conditioner works perfect. The steering works perfect. The software is better than when I bought the car because they keep sending updates. The car, when I bought it, had a rear view camera that you could watch while you're driving. They upgraded it. Now you can get the rear view plus the side cameras. All the cameras are without issue. Windshield wipers without issue. Lights without issue. There's no excuses, guys. Get an electric car. They're great. So stick around for another 3 or 4 years and I'll get the 200,000 mile report. And these people with the Prius, they're out of luck. There's no gas. Get a little view of the sunset there. I'm off of I-95. You gotta ask yourself, how long is it gonna be before we're seeing more and more abandoned gas stations? This one looks recently abandoned. They still have their lights on and everything is relatively clean. There's not even dust on these pumps, look. They're still shiny. I'm very enthusiastic about the future of electric vehicles, but our societies need to come to grips with the fact that this is a highly disruptive technology and it's gonna damage a lot of businesses. And we have to prepare for that and reimagine our society so that we're not being victims of this, we're embracing a new thing. You know, maybe this gas station in the future will have coffee shops, reading areas, studying areas, a camping area, charging stations, locally made food. You know, we have to reimagine these things. So just something to think about. Yeah, I'm happy Tesla owner. 100,000 miles, 900,000 miles to go to 1 million. Let's see how it goes. Oh, I forgot one really important thing.